Prince Andrew was officially forcibly removed from Royal Lodge, the 30-room Windsor estate granted to him decades ago by the late Queen Elizabeth II. The eviction followed a classified directive co-signed by Princess Anne and Prince William, with full authorization from the Privy Council. This event marks the first modern royal military enforcement against a senior royal, and it sends a thunderous message: not even bloodlines will shield the disgraced. But this is more than an eviction. This is a coup of internal discipline, a symbolic rupture, and a test of power between past indulgence and present reform. In the heart of Windsor, beneath the grandeur of ancient oak trees and royal crests, a fault line within the House of Windsor has been split wide open. Sources close to Buckingham Palace confirmed that Prince Andrew had refused more than 7 formal orders to vacate Royal Lodge over the course of 3 months. Despite being stripped of his HRH style, military affiliations, and royal duties in early 2022, following mounting allegations and public scrutiny, Andrew remained entrenched in the estate as if nothing had changed. Insiders described the standoff as quiet but explosive. William, now de facto head of Crown modernization, and Anne, long regarded as the monarchy's no-nonsense enforcer, were reportedly infuriated by Andrew's refusal to yield. They viewed it not merely as an act of entitlement, but as a silent challenge to the very command structure of the monarchy. This wasn't about a house, one senior advisor confided. It was about whether the crown can command obedience from within its own blood. For King Charles III, the fallout has been particularly bruising. In recent weeks, the sovereign has come under increasing fire from both press and parliament, as public trust wavers, amidst concerns over financial opacity and internal favoritism. Polls from the Royal Integrity Index show a 17-point drop in public approval of Charles's handling of the Andrew affair, with 68% of Britons agreeing that Andrew should have been removed immediately and permanently from all royal residences. The question echoing across headlines, talk shows, and editorial pages: if Charles can't clean up his own family, how can he lead a constitutional monarchy in crisis? Despite this, Charles reportedly resisted direct confrontation with his younger brother. Courtiers cite emotional fatigue, royal memory, and Camilla's interference as contributing factors to his indecision, but William and Anne were unmoved. In one high-level briefing, a source described Anne's blunt assessment: "We are not running a retirement village for disgrace." The turning point came in late September, following a private interview between Prince William and renowned royal journalist Andrew McGregor Marshall. In the as-yet unaired footage, William allegedly draws a bold comparison between Andrew's occupation of Royal Lodge and leaving a grenade under the crown's pillow. This was not a metaphor. The heir to the throne had run out of patience. Behind closed doors, William moved swiftly. He secured legal backing from the Duchy of Lancaster's board, revoked the estate's private maintenance budget, froze discretionary funding, and coordinated with Anne to issue a Level 3 eviction mandate, a rare classification used for internal royal enforcement, typically reserved for non-cooperative estate holders. Within days, Royal Military Police were briefed, and by October's end, they were stationed just outside Windsor's ancient iron gates. It was Princess Anne who gave the final go-ahead. At 6:15 a.m. on the day of removal, she arrived discreetly at the grounds of Royal Lodge, unaccompanied by press or ceremony. Wearing a navy coat and her signature no-nonsense expression, Anne reportedly walked the perimeter of the estate, reviewed the entry protocols, and signed the eviction execution order in a leather-bound field folder once used by Queen Elizabeth II herself. Her words to the commanding officer were succinct: "Do it clean, do it quiet, do it today." What followed was nothing short of historic. At dawn, 4 military vehicles rolled into the western entrance of Royal Lodge. Andrew, caught unaware sources say he was still asleep, was roused by personnel and informed the eviction was non-negotiable. He was given 22 minutes to collect personal belongings. No staff were permitted to assist. No photographers were allowed inside. He emerged in a long coat and travel shoes, escorted under guard into an unmarked black car with tinted windows. The vehicle exited Windsor grounds at 8:06 a.m. No statement was issued by Andrew. No member of the royal family appeared in public that day. Royal Lodge now sits vacant, awaiting reassignment. But the tremor it leaves in the institution is far from over. Public support for William and Anne has surged, with online forums, Royal Watch networks, and UK dailies hailing the move as finally showing spine. Meanwhile, King Charles faces a darker reckoning. For many, it's not Andrew's stubbornness that's most troubling. It's the monarch's failure to act decisively when faced with disobedience. Critics argue that Charles's prolonged hesitation not only embarrassed the monarchy, but exposed a vacuum of leadership. As whispers grow that Princess Charlotte may one day inherit Royal Lodge, the message from William and Anne is clear. There is no future for nostalgia, fueled loyalty to the past, only a future monarchy with discipline, order, and accountability. The Royal Lodge was never just a home. It was a symbol of proximity to the crown, of legacy inheritance, and of untouchable privilege. Now, as military officers comb through its empty halls, what they've uncovered isn't just decades of furniture and royal drapery, but a damning archive of decay, misuse, and defiance. According to newly surfaced maintenance records obtained by the Windsor Files, Royal Lodge, once meticulously maintained under the Queen Mother and Queen Elizabeth II, has quietly become a 4.5 million logistical sinkhole. Every year, the estate's upkeep cost the Duchy of Lancaster between £900,000 and £1.3 million, including private security personnel rotating in 3 shifts, a specialized staff of 12 retained gardeners, annual roof repairs dating back to storm damage in 2018, utility overruns exceeding £80,000 annually due to unmonitored heating systems, and yet, Prince Andrew contributed less than 7% of the property's running costs from his private funds, despite no longer serving the crown. These weren't family allowances, said a source within the Duchy's financial oversight team. These were taxpayer-backed estate funds keeping a disgraced prince's lights on. Worse still, insiders allege that Andrew had been renting out the guest annex, originally intended for visiting royals to close personal associates, including a former PR executive and a Middle Eastern investor with ties to private aviation. No receipts were filed, no royal clearance granted. Royal Lodge was originally bestowed upon Andrew as a grace and favor residence in 2003 after a substantial renovation, partly funded through his own resources and a private loan guaranteed by the Crown Estate. However, senior sources now confirm that Queen Elizabeth II's arrangement was never intended to last beyond Andrew's official duties. Once those duties were revoked, the legal standing of Andrew's occupancy became precarious. Yet he continued to reside there, citing his mother's verbal blessing as override. He clung to a ghost clause, said a former palace legal aide. But monarchy doesn't run on memories. The Queen's personal staff, now disbanded, reportedly kept quiet out of loyalty. But since her passing, that silence has broken, especially as Prince William prepares for eventual coronation and estate reassignment. One document circulating within Kensington Palace outlines a 2026 property realignment plan, in which Royal Lodge would become either a multi-generational residence under Princess Charlotte's name or a symbolic Commonwealth guest house for official visits. In both cases, Andrew's continued occupation was untenable. Despite King Charles's attempts to stay publicly neutral, Queen Camilla has emerged as a controversial figure behind the curtain. According to leaked memos, she personally lobbied for a transition arrangement for Andrew, allegedly invoking private favors from 2 UAE billionaires, including a discreet proposal to house Andrew in a private Dubai compound under the guise of diplomatic rehabilitation. This maneuver was vehemently opposed by William and Anne, who viewed it as an end run around the monarchy's efforts to restore accountability. They saw it for what it was, said a Whitehall insider, an escape hatch for a fallen royal arranged by the woman who has increasingly blurred the lines between royal representation and personal favor. Tensions reportedly flared behind the scenes at Balmoral, where Anne confronted Camilla over her involvement. While the full exchange remains classified, one line from Anne has been confirmed by multiple sources. "You're not Elizabeth, and he's not exempt." Camilla has not issued a public statement, but her conspicuous absence from Windsor events in recent weeks speaks volumes. Charles's inertia, or calculation. While King Charles faces growing pressure, some analysts believe his passivity was not just emotional hesitation, but a quiet test of loyalty within the family. He wanted to see who would step up, says Crown historian Eleanor March. And William and Anne did forcefully. Whether Charles intended that or not, they passed a crucial test of sovereign readiness. Yet others argue the delay exposed deeper weakness. If the king requires his son to carry out his enforcement, March added, the real power may already be shifting. Indeed, within senior advisory circles, whispers grow louder. Charles reigns, but William governs. Public reaction to Andrew's removal has been fierce and polarized. Some see it as justice delayed, others as necessary surgery. But one thread is common: relief that action was finally taken. Across social media, comments such as, "No more hiding behind mother's memory," "Why did it take so long?" "Anne should run the palace," have dominated trending platforms. Even the Times conservative editorial board released a rare statement of alignment with public sentiment. This monarchy cannot afford nostalgia. Reform is no longer optional, it is required. And William? He remains silent. But silence, in this case, is not absence, it is orchestration. When Prince William issued the final directive to evacuate Royal Lodge, it was not just a personal reckoning with his disgraced uncle. It was a bold assertion of monarchical muscle, crafted for a new generation, in full view of the British public. The ultimatum was reportedly delivered in writing, co-signed by Princess Anne, and framed not as a private family dispute, but as a constitutional act. Royal Lodge shall revert to the Crown Estates under Article 3 of the Modern Residency Realignment Protocol, as endorsed by the Sovereign and Council. Few outside the palace had ever heard of such a protocol, but that was the point. A new internal governance structure had been forged in the shadows, and Andrew was the test case. Internally known as the Windsor Reformation Doctrine, this plan was first drafted by legal scholars close to William in early 2024, following the Queen's passing. Its central thesis: no royal title shall protect an individual from accountability, nor shall proximity to the sovereign be confused with entitlement to state-supported privileges. This wasn't just cleanup, it was the codification of discipline. Andrew's refusal to vacate Royal Lodge despite having no active title, patronages, or responsibilities was treated as a breach of public trust, not just of family decency. More chillingly, for those watching inside the House of Windsor, William ordered the legal restructuring of all grace and favor residencies. His vision: no occupancy longer than 5 years without review, mandatory duty to roll matching, public register of who lives where, and at whose cost. For centuries, these details had been hidden behind iron gates. William pulled them out into daylight. William's private conversation with journalist Andrew McGregor Marshall, later leaked in excerpts, became a bombshell. When asked whether removing Andrew was worth the fallout, he replied, "If I cannot remove a man who betrayed the crown, how can I be expected to lead it?" The bluntness shocked even loyalists. But within the military, within Parliament, and crucially within Gen Z audiences, skeptical of monarchical waste, it landed as truth. In a single sentence, William reframed leadership not as inheritance, but meritocracy with muscle. "He's modern Machiavelli," said one former aide. Except instead of daggers, he uses accountability. While William carried the symbolic sword, Princess Anne carried the lockbox of precedent. According to reports, it was Anne, not Charles, who authorized the royal guards to approach Royal Lodge with an eviction writ. She coordinated with the Home Office. She briefed the Prime Minister's deputy. She ensured the press embargo held until Andrew was seen leaving through a back gate in the early dawn. And she never said a word publicly. But palace staff revealed her instructions were methodical. Do it clean, do it fast, and don't look back. One aide called her the steel behind the crown velvet. She didn't just support the eviction, she operationalized it. Not out of cruelty, but conviction. That a monarchy worth saving could no longer afford the illusion of internal immunity. King Charles's silence grew louder with every passing day. While William and Anne acted, he appeared torn between royal duty and paternal sympathy. Sources close to Sandringham described private phone calls between Charles and Andrew, marked by long pauses and emotional fatigue. Charles reportedly offered a transition window of 90 days, hoping Andrew would leave voluntarily. But Andrew interpreted this as hesitation and refused to move. When public pressure surged, with headlines like, "Why is the king protecting a prince of shame?" appearing in The Guardian and The Mirror, Charles's hand was forced. Aides say he ultimately withdrew all administrative protection, including chauffeur access and internal royal household passes. It was the quietest form of exile ever carried out on a royal. No ceremony, no press release, no farewell. Just deactivation. And yet, even this proved too little. Too late for some. "Charles blinked," said one constitutional historian, "and his son saw it." The forced eviction of Andrew has become more than a royal reshuffle. It is now widely seen as the first major stress test of William's informal co-regency. He didn't wait for Parliament. He didn't wait for his father. He read the room and moved. Among public institutions, the response has been telling. The National Audit Office issued a surprise report demanding complete transparency on Crown Estate allocations. The BBC commissioned a 3-part series titled House of Privilege: Who Pays for the Palaces? A grassroots petition demanding permanent public oversight of royal residences has reached over 850,000 signatures. These are not signs of scandal. They are signs of systemic recalibration triggered by one eviction, one uncle, one decision. And it signals something even deeper, that the monarchy is no longer run solely by the man who wears the crown, but by the man preparing to inherit it with eyes open, fists ready, and no room left for sentimental ghosts. In the hours following Prince Andrew's quiet extraction from Royal Lodge, the royal press office remained eerily silent. But behind the scenes, a different type of scramble was already in motion, not from Andrew, but from someone far more calculating: Queen Camilla. The former Duchess of Cornwall who had long played the role of reluctant stepmother of the monarchy, was now revealed to be the architect of a private exile campaign, one that would take Prince Andrew far from Windsor's cold marble to the gilded villas of the United Arab Emirates, and it was almost successful. Sources inside Clarence's house leaked a set of private communications between Camilla's personal secretary and a foreign envoy linked to the Al-Qasimi family, rulers of Sharjah, UAE. Among them, a diplomatic cable stamped with a crest bearing the words, "Discreet accommodation for senior member of former royal service. Protection guaranteed. No press access. EMSO." The document, dated just 2 weeks before Andrew's eviction, was marked highly confidential and referenced a temporary recovery stay under cultural fellowship. Translation: a royal hideaway in exile, hidden under the veil of foreign diplomacy. At the heart of this operation was a private luxury compound on the outskirts of Abu Dhabi, reportedly owned by a shipping magnate with strong ties to royal British charities, many of which Camilla had presided over for decades. The arrangement had no input from Charles, William, or the Crown Estate. It was a back channel, said one intelligence analyst, not treasonous, but dangerously rogue. What pushed Camilla to interfere so directly? According to palace insiders, the Queen had grown increasingly isolated since King Charles began ceding quiet authority to William and Anne. Her influence over family logistics, patronage assignments, and even royal calendars had been subtly curtailed. Some say Andrew was her last remaining lever of control, a fellow royal outsider, stripped of full ceremonial standing, but loyal to her vision of a more family-centric monarchy. Camilla, whose own son Tom Parker Bowles has often been at odds with William's camp, saw the ousting of Andrew as a sign that her faction was next. And so, she acted. Not to protect Andrew's reputation, but to preserve her own internal relevance. She didn't move to protect a brother-in-law, one former equerry told us. She moved to make a point, that she still had strings to pull, even if the crown was slipping from her grasp. What Camilla did not anticipate was how deeply Princess Anne's office had embedded surveillance protocols after the first failed warnings to Andrew. Once the UAE correspondence was flagged by the Home Office's diplomatic tracker, a standard post-Brexit cybersecurity measure, it was forwarded directly to the Joint Royal Security Council, headed by Anne's own chief of operations. The findings were stunning. 9 emails exchanged between Camilla's staff and a UAE intermediary. One referenced a safe corridor for travel through RAF Northolt, a military base typically reserved for high-level dignitaries. One included a note requesting a formal royal blessing for Andrew's new phase of life abroad. When the dossier reached William, he was said to have responded in one sentence, "Absolutely not." He then revoked any travel clearance for Andrew and escalated the matter to his father. Charles was devastated. According to aides, he confronted Camilla privately at Highgrove. The conversation, described by one source as tense and emotionally barren, ended with Charles reportedly stating, "You acted without the crown. You acted without me. All." For Charles, a man still reeling from accusations of passivity in Andrew's scandal, Camilla's maneuver placed him in an impossible position. Support her and look complicit. Denounce her and fracture the monarchy's front-facing unity. In the end, he did neither. He issued no public statement. He did not block William's sanctions. But he also didn't reprimand Camilla in any visible way. The silence was noted and interpreted as weakness. Lost in the swirl of eviction headlines and UAE cover-ups was a quiet but monumental development: the Crown's reassignment of Royal Lodge. According to an internal royal bulletin, not publicly released but leaked to our team, Princess Charlotte has been listed as a future trustee beneficiary of the Royal Lodge estate, under a revised protocol known as the Lineage Allocation Reform. The document outlines plans to restore Royal Lodge for ceremonial purposes under the Duchy of Cornwall, designate Charlotte as custodial heir of Windsor residence estate, non-sovereign branch, transition the estate as a symbolic gift on her 18th birthday, pending William's ascension. It's more than real estate. It's a signal to the world. The House of Windsor is no longer tolerating shadows, and its future is being written in the names of those untainted by scandal. Charlotte, the granddaughter of Queen Elizabeth II, stands at the beginning of that lineage, and by assigning her what was once Andrew's fortress of resistance, William is doing what every strategist knows to be essential in chess. He's turning the fallen rook into protection for the future queen. The official royal statement regarding Prince Andrew's relocation was a clinical, 53-word memo released at 6:07 a.m., deliberately timed to coincide with national weather updates and avoid morning headlines. It read simply, "The Duke of York has formally vacated Royal Lodge following internal reassignments of the royal household. His Majesty expresses his gratitude for the Duke's years of service and wishes him privacy and peace in his personal journey moving forward. But Britain didn't miss the subtext. The eviction wasn't just a logistics reshuffle. It was a regime reset, and the people demanded more than silence. By mid-morning, over 34,000 comments had flooded royal news outlets. A Guardian live blog covering the development trended with the headline, "Prince Andrew evicted from Royal Lodge, was it too late?" On X, formerly Twitter, hashtags surged. Andrew out. Number not in my name. Number royal reckoning. Number where is the king? A viral post from a former royal chef summed up the national mood. Princess Anne cleared out 30 rooms faster than Charles cleared his conscience. While Prince William and Princess Anne emerged as commanding enforcers of order, King Charles's silence grew deafening. By the 5th day post-eviction, 4 national newspapers had run op-eds criticizing his inaction. The Daily Mail called him a sovereign with a soft spine. The Times asked bluntly, "Is Charles afraid of his brother?" The Mirror ran a front-page poll. "Do you trust the king to act decisively?" 73% responded, no. Even the Telegraph, traditionally royalist, hinted at a failure of masculine duty and institutional leadership. And then came the comparison no monarch wants. A BBC radio segment featured a chilling side-by-side. The Queen removed her favorite son from public life in 36 hours. Charles took 3 years and a push from his children. That push, orchestrated by William and Anne, had now triggered a second, more dangerous question. If Charles is unable to protect the monarchy from his own family, what will he do when the storm comes from outside? The storm was coming, not from Parliament, but from a 10-part Netflix docuseries titled, slated to air within weeks of the eviction. The series had reportedly secured new footage of Andrew during the last months at Royal Lodge, unshaven, agitated, wandering the estate grounds with documents clutched to his chest. Worse, leaked audio from a boom mic caught Andrew muttering, "They'll regret this, all of them. I have things they don't want known. I?" The promo trailer, 45 seconds long, ends with an image of the Union Jack being folded, slowly, into a suitcase. It was devastating symbolism, and for Charles, it was a media ambush, not from Republicans, but from within the royal story itself. In contrast, William rose. Within days, he appeared at a veterans' housing charity, calm, confident, flanked by Catherine in muted navy blue. Reporters called it a masterclass in post-crisis optics. He didn't speak directly about Andrew, but his words carried weight. Sometimes, duty means making decisions that are painful not just for others, but for ourselves. But that's what it means to lead. The phrase, "that's what it means to lead," was repeated over 50,000 times in one afternoon and used in dozens of edited reels on social media. One side-by-side, TikTok compared Charles looking forlorn in a chapel with William standing firm beside a military veteran. The verdict was clear. One was legacy, one was future. And then there was Princess Anne. While she gave no public comment, her symbolism spoke volumes. She resumed duties at Windsor Castle the very next morning, walking past the gate where Andrew's belongings had been wheeled out. She wore a brooch that belonged to Queen Elizabeth II, one only seen before during the Platinum Jubilee. Her schedule included a visit to the Royal Archives, a not-so-subtle gesture to legacy, order, and royal permanence. According to palace insiders, Anne and William had a private agreement. If the crown falters, the siblings will hold the ramparts. And they had just proven it. In a last-ditch attempt at damage control, Queen Camilla authorized a rare solo interview framed as a reflection on compassion and duty. But when the anchor asked, "Did you try to assist Prince Andrew in finding comfort abroad?" Camilla froze. Her answer? "We all deserve a little peace, don't we?" The comment, vague and defensive, backfired. Headlines screamed, "Camilla breaks silence but won't deny UAE plan. Mercy or meddling?" Queen faces growing backlash. Who really runs this palace? Public sentiment turned. An editorial in The Spectator read, "The Queen was meant to uphold the crown, not shield its shadows." Perhaps the most powerful moment came not from television, but from a quiet protest outside Windsor's Long Walk. A group of 60 pensioners dressed in black held signs reading, "We paid, he played. No titles without duty. Anne is our Queen of Steel." A woman named Margaret, age 72, told ITV, "I watched Elizabeth lead through storms. If Charles won't stand, then I'll follow his daughter." The world was watching, and so was history. When the Royal Lodge gates closed behind Prince Andrew for the last time, it wasn't just the end of a residence. It was the quiet reclamation of a crown, not by Charles, but by the generation preparing to inherit it. Within 48 hours, royal staff began clearing out portraits, upholstery, and personal memorabilia, once belonging to the disgraced Duke of York. What replaced them wasn't announced, but courtiers confirmed that interior refurbishments had been authorized in line with future strategic occupancy. Sources close to the Duchy of Lancaster confirmed that Royal Lodge will be reassigned as an official residence within the Prince and Princess of Wales's growing estate portfolio. One room previously Andrew's hunting study will be converted into a heritage education space for Princess Charlotte, reflecting a new era of royal legacy training. To the public, this transition is not merely practical, it's poetic. Once a site of denial, arrogance, and elitist decay, Royal Lodge is being reborn as a symbol of order, transparency, and future-focused monarchy. What was once a 30-room monument to shame is now a training ground for Charlotte, already referred to in the press as the People's Princess in Waiting. One royal historian observed, "This isn't about bricks and land, it's about reclaiming dignity. If Balmoral was Elizabeth's heart and Sandringham her retreat, Royal Lodge may become Charlotte's foundation." Neither Catherine nor William made public statements about the property, but their silence carried intention. Instead of press releases, the palace quietly released photos of Princess Charlotte visiting a local nature reserve, helping plant apple trees echoing her mother's legacy initiatives in wellness and education. One image showed Charlotte holding a plaque that read, "What you inherit, you must steward." Observers took it as no coincidence that this image dropped the same morning. The last of Andrew's belongings were removed from Royal Lodge. As Charles retreats from increasing public scrutiny, Prince William's consolidation of assets, symbols, and authority grows more assertive. According to reports from the Privy Council, early preparations for a modernized coronation plan are underway, not in contradiction to the king's role, but in acknowledgement of the shifting public expectations. Princess Anne, ever the strategist, was recently overheard telling a staff member, "The future isn't waiting for a crown, it's being built with two hands, hers and his." Hers meant Catherine. His meant William. And both were already at work, shaping the monarchy not through speeches, but through action. Prince Andrew now resides abroad, stripped of titles, guarded by silence, and living temporarily under the private hospitality of a billionaire donor in the UAE, a setup allegedly arranged by Queen Camilla. No formal charges have been filed, but public pressure continues to mount for further accountability. As for Royal Lodge, it stands quiet but no longer in disgrace. In its silence, it speaks of transition, of reckoning, of leadership, reclaimed not by bloodline, but by earned trust. The monarchy did not collapse, but it was finally corrected. And as one royal guard was heard murmuring after the final gate was sealed, "We lost a duke, but we gained a future."